Hey everybody, welcome to week 4 of INET3011W, Social Impact of IT. This week we're talking about professionalism. Really kind of thinking about how are we showing up and how are we really kind of, and as we're kind of migrating out of individual to teams, but how are we contributing to projects, to work streams, to daily activities? How are we getting into different forms of working with internal and external entities, whether it's internal could be teams that could be within your department, outside of your department. They kind of go up and down as well, getting up to different levels, getting up into the VP or the into the, we call it the CXO, the CTO, CEO, CFO, CIO kind of realm, all the way up to the board. But then also thinking about external. So think about dealing with your vendors, your customers, people that are maybe contractors that you're bringing in. So there's a lot of different ways to think about who you engage with. But, the professionalism isn't just simply, wearing the right clothes and grooming and all that stuff. And it isn't always just how you talk to people as well. It's thinking about, respecting their place in all of this. And I see one thing in IT that we don't talk about pretty much ever is, respecting people's time. I think a lot of people are trying to promote their wares. They're trying to get out there and they're inviting people to webinars and everybody's kind of glossing over really what the value or the reality of their product is. And a perfect example of that is last year there was a report done. This was actually out of, I think, the UK, and it reported that 40% of the companies in the UK promoting their software or their offerings as AI, artificial intelligence, had nothing to do with AI at all. There wasn't a glimmer of anything in their products that did that. So that's what I mean about respect. It's making sure that you're not overselling, which would lead to under-delivering in that. And so when I think about professionalism, I think about how do you communicate effectively and how do you really get your message across. And, to be brutally honest, if your product isn't as good as your marketing says it is, then either change your product or change your marketing. So when I think about, where people kind of sit in this, I think a lot of people in IT think that, we go to work every day, we sit in our cube and we kind of crank out work. But those days are gone. It's pretty rare that you're not at least engaged in a daily basis with other parts of your organization, external people. And again, are you giving output, or are you receiving input, or are you supposed to be engaged in kind of both? And so, yes, we do have engineering roles, and so there are a ton of people, and most people in IT kind of fit in one or more of these roles. Some, not all, have aspirations to move up through management. So, you might start as a support engineer and then move into a role of, managing that group and then kind of moving up the chain if that's what you want. I think that there's more functional roles. Like we have a transformation office as an example, which we've acquired over 14 companies in the last 3 years. And so there needs to be a lot of alignment and understanding of, what are we doing, where are we going, and, taking out old systems, creating new systems, moving everybody into a common system so we have one way to kind of report on everything. Obviously, you need finance. Without finance, it all is meaningless. And I think this is one that's overlooked quite a bit in kind of your idea of, tying it all together. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? We actually follow this kind of mentality of this kind of Venn diagram that has three concentric circles, or three circles that all align. And we kind of look at these things from a few things, which is first, desirability. is this something that a customer even wants? And if it's not what a customer wants, then we're done. We move on. So all the shiny objects and all the great ideas that people have, we first have to vet through that. If that's true, and it is desirable, and we've proven that with customers, then you go to feasibility. Feasibility is this what we do? We got to be honest with ourselves that we only do what we do best, and are successful at it. And stretching yourselves into different places is, the foundational reason why, I don't know what the saying exactly goes, but it's like 80-90% of businesses fail because you don't understand the business. So don't jump into things that you don't do. And then the last one's viability. So again, it's desirability, feasibility, and viability. And viability is, do we make money doing this? If you don't make money, don't do it. You obviously have different forms of services. So there's, we kind of cut it down pretty simply. There's services such as professional services, which is based on a waterfall methodology and a statement of work. And then you have managed services, which is monthly recurring revenue on, everything from day 2 support to advanced, anything from CI/CD and DevOps to forms of operational excellence to different ways of making sure our customer systems are performing as efficiently and as optimal as possible. And obviously you always have executive levels. I always kind of look at CEO and CFO are pretty straightforward. Definitely need those. CIO I kind of view as more internally focused, making sure that all the systems and everything performing is right. CTO usually more external focused, maybe building products or offerings, or just being the divining rod of what's real and what's not in our vendors. Communication is key. I always kind of make the joke that if you bring 87 slides to a board meeting, you're probably going to get cut off, and you're not going to get good reviews, because you need to summarize, you need to boil it down, you need to think about many times what is important for them to understand. They're extremely busy. They're usually not only part of one company but part of many. They have very in-depth knowledge of the industry and the financial implications of things. So again, that respect at that level is a little different than I think most. But then when you boil it down to, okay, well, what about my boss? What about, an all company communication? What about me presenting at a trade show? What am I trying to message? How am I trying to get out there? And I think that's one of the skills that I think is a little lacking in IT that is part of why we built this class. And part of why the W markers on it is we want to make sure that you guys, as you get out into the industry, think about this a little more than I think most that just jump into this industry and just fire off emails, fire off texts, just slap some presentation material together. And you've probably if you've been in presentations, you might have already seen this, that there is sometimes a little bit of wasted time, wasted energy in listening to a presentation. I just went through one in the last hour, to be honest, where completely missed the mark, wasn't exactly what they said it would be, and it was just some really smart people just talking. So it is very important to understand that there's this we talk about IQ being how smart people are, but there's also this emotional quotient or emotional intelligence thing that is very important to understand. And that's really about how do you understand something, but more importantly, how do you relate to other people and their understanding of it? Knowing that some people can see to the end of the tunnel, they know exactly what needs to happen, but you can't assume everybody sees it the same way you do. So how do you relate to that? And then finally, how are you relating this to other people? How are you delivering this message? Are you spitting it on an email that nobody's going to read? Are you putting it on a wiki page that nobody's going to read, a blog? How are you being effective? And so that's something we need to really kind of think about. Ethics is again a big thing, and I think that in today's world, I think there's a lot of and there should be a lot of focus on diversity and inclusion, because in the IT world, it's not very diverse, and it's not very inclusive, and it needs to be. I think some of this I kind of paint backwards into where where does a student kind of diverge away from, IT or STEM or, anything that would get you into a position to be, wanting to do this? We do see a lot of returning adults into IT, which is awesome. But I always wonder, what if in seventh, eighth grade, ninth grade, whatever it is, we were able to, keep people on that path instead of, having them get frustrated and move to something else. So there's a lot of different kind of angles and pieces to this, but I think it's one that's extremely important, if not the most important piece of, kind of this course and this coursework, and what we're trying to understand is to put yourself into different positions and to be that, person, or that, that entity that understands and really wants to promote, the right things, and to really kind of go outside yourself and, contribute in society. Offer up services in, things like Coder Dojo, or, schools, or, anywhere I can kind of, when I have time, really kind of promote what we're doing, and kind of demystify and make it, relevant, and something that's exciting for people to go into. But it's important to think about those that aren't as privileged as others, and how we can, kind of jump in and make it equal, make it fair, make it something that is something that somebody would want to kind of pursue and follow, knowing that there's some barriers we have to break through. So a lot of this does come down to the fact that it is a pretty common and traditional thing to, have to take a lot of training around this. And the thing that I'm liking in recent months and years is that we've moved from just having to watch a video and saying we watched it, to actually being engaged and actually practicing some of this. So a lot that goes into this, but again, I'm going on and on because it is a very important piece of this. So this week is really, kind of in the discussion, professionalism case studies. So what are you seeing in there? And then the draft this week is to take what we did last week and really turn it into a draft format. So take an outline and turn it into a draft. So with that, we'll end there, and we'll see you next week.